Yeah, welcome. This is a talk about. First of all, does everybody speak English?
Yeah, I hope.
More or less. If I speak too fast or something I say that you don't understand, please just feel free to ask. We will go out. No, feel free to ask. Yeah, this session is where I'm presenting a new extension for Joomla called Neno Translate, a new way of translating your Joomla website. My name is Soren Beck Jensen. I'm the CEO of Jensen Technologies. I was not very creative when I picked that name. You can follow me on Twitter at Soren Beck, and if you're doing this session, feel free to tweet and tag me or whatever. And you can email me at that very long email address below. I'll be posting the slides to SlideShare after the session, and you can find all this information. I'm a developer, but I'm also a designer, and I'm an entrepreneur. Come on in, no worries. Hi. I am very much a Joomla enthusiast. I love speaking about Joomla, and I write about Joomla. I volunteer in the marketing team of Joomla. Currently in the lead of the project of redesigning Joomla.org, the homepage of Joomla. I'm also a member of the resources directory, so if you have any questions about that, you're more than welcome to hunt me down during the Joomla day, or the Joomla days. And I've been a mentor at the Google Summer of Code program, where we invite students in and to help contribute to Joomla through the Google Summer of Code program. And I'm the J-Factor winner. J-Factor is a talent competition that was held in the last J and Beyond in Prague, and for some very weird reason I won it, singing a song. So I've added that to all my slides now.
Did you bring your guitar?
No, I did not bring my guitar.
We will find one.
Yeah, if I get a few beers and it gets late, that's, I hear we're going to the Hard Rock Cafe. So anyway, I run a company called Jensen Technologies. As I said, it started in 2005. We do 100% Joomla development, sometimes a Magento e-commerce website, but really we should be using Hikashop. I'm a big fan of Hikashop, but we sometimes have clients that specifically request them. There's 7 employees in the company, and we're based in Granada, Spain. Now, I'm actually from Denmark, but I've lived in Spain for more than 10 years. Right, just quickly, in Jensen Technologies we do lots of different things, but the 4 main areas is not web design, which is our client-facing website where we make Joomla websites for customers. We run a service called automaticbacklinks.com, which is an SEO kind of service where you can exchange links automatically, which is probably our biggest business unit. Then we have Component Creator, the t-shirt I'm wearing. It's a way for you to make components for Joomla very easily. I have a talk about that later today, the last session of the day in this room. And then Neno, our new thing, which is we felt that there was lacking a really good translation solution for Joomla, so we built Neno. So let me introduce Neno a little bit. We aim for it to be the complete translation solution for Joomla, so we want it to be able to handle everything, and we want it really to become the de facto standard for translating your Joomla website. We have been contributing to Joomla and being very involved with Joomla since the beginning of Joomla in 2005, and we really have invested a lot of hours and effort and research into developing this solution that I'm showing today. And we want it to be what everybody picks. It's free and open source, and we want everybody to pick it when they translate their website. We spent more than 3,800 hours on developing it, and we're continually spending lots of hours. It's still early days. We just launched it when J and Beyond. When was J and Beyond? anyways, 3 or 4 months ago, Jane Beyond, we launched the first version, and then we've been frantically fixing bugs since then. It's free and open source, as I said, plus we have premium support. And it has more features than any other solution already, but we plan to keep piling on features and keep piling on usability. For us, usability is very important. Make it work. Some of the main features that I'm just going to be highlighting, I'm rushing through this a little bit because I want to show you actually, and it's only a half-hour session, so we don't have a lot of time. I would like to have also time for questions at the end, so if it seems like I'm rushing, that's fine. Some of the main features is that it's a user-friendly interface and it's built for translators. So often when you look at the way, if you'd install a component to try and translate your Joomla website, we felt that they were built for Joomla administrators. So it's like, okay, so now I need to translate a module. So now I go in and I say, okay, I want to find a module. Okay, which module do you want to translate? This module. Okay, what inside this module do you want to translate? Whereas typically when translators translate, they're not so concerned with where that content comes from, and they just want an interface that makes it very rapidly. Here's a string to translate, translate. Here's the next string to translate, translate. And so we've tried to build an interface for translators, but have lots of configuration options for the administrators to set it up so that it becomes easier for the translator to translate. We've focused on smooth installation and setup. The initial setup should be very simple and easy. I'm not going to have time to demo that today, but feel free to download and install on any Joomla site, and hopefully you can see. But basically, we will look at the current state of your Joomla website when you install, and we will fix it for you, because there's 90% chance that you've probably set it up kind of wrong, because setting up a multilingual website as Joomla is not really easy. There's a lot of things you need to do with associating menu items and languages and stuff like that. And Neno will do all that for you in one click and fix it for you if you've done it wrong as well. It's the only translation solution that has no performance degradation, and I should say except for the Joomla core and any other translation tool that just is kind of a platform on top of the Joomla core. So if you take Josetta, for instance, all it does is make the Joomla interface easier. It's not really another way of translating Joomla. Neno is another way of translating Joomla, and the way we do it is we make shadow tables. It becomes a little bit technical, but the way we structure the data means that the performance, so if you have a big website with lots of content, it will perform the same way in other languages that it will in the source language, and we're unique in that manner. You have full control over what is translated as how, so you can customize everything, and from within the application you can order professional translation. So you can instead of translating everything manually, you can one click to say, okay, send this to a professional translator, and automatically when it has been then translated using our API, it comes back and is applied to your website. And you can do that, so that happens automatically when you add new content. So once you have set it up, you need to buy some translation credit from us, but once you have set it up, whenever you add a new blog post, it is instantly translated to the other languages that you need. You can choose either to use professional translation or machine translation for that kind of thing. Or you can even set up a workflow where it instantly is automatically translated using machine API, and then at the same time is sent for professional translation, and when it comes back a couple of hours later, it is then applied on top of the machine translation. So that's obviously our business plan. So we're giving away the software, and we hope, and we've created a very nice interface for manual translation, and a lot of people will be using that, but we hope to earn a little bit of money on offering the professional translation. And we don't do the translation ourselves. We use third-party APIs for that with professional translation agencies. As I said, you can automatically translate new content as you add it. We also the only solution that can translate both language files and database content. Typically you have one or the other. And typically most content in Joomla is stored in the database, but if you create your own component or if you download a third-party extension that has not supplied that translation file, then you can translate all that in Neno as well. And yeah, you can translate any third-party component, which is important. I mean, if you build a component with Component Creator, or if you make one yourself, or if you download one, if it's not translated, we can translate it, Neno can translate it, not only the language files, but the content as well. So you don't need a content elements file that you do for some other translation components. The way Neno is structured, we can understand anything that's written correctly for Joomla. So this is just a quick comparison of our features compared to some of the other ways of translating Joomla. I'm not going to go into too much details here. You can see this on our website as well. I just want to say that you can get a free or 50% discount on our premium subscription the next 30 days if you use the discount coupon JDayPoland. All right. Any questions before I go into actually showing the extension itself? No questions. Yes.
For the professional translation, how many languages are available?
A lot. Let me just see if I can find that on our website so I can show it to you. This. Let's see. It's a documentation. Language pairs. So for professional translation pairs, you can see we have all these. If you're interested in from Polish, I guess we can.
It was near to the top.
Polish to English only.
No, not only.
No?
Near to the top is the other option.
English too?
Yeah, but that's English too.
Yeah.
So from English to Polish and Polish to English,
Yeah.
but we can't from Polish to German, for instance. We couldn't do. But if you have English as your source language, you can do a lot, as you can see. We plan to expand these later, but these are currently the ones that we offer. Japanese to Chinese, if you're interested. And machine translation pairs, obviously, I mean, the list is very, very long. Yes. But good question. Any other questions? Yes?
I have to pay for every translation for every component? Or it's free?
I'm not sure I understand.
Because you have translation for every component or module, or
We don't have translation. We make it possible for you to translate the content that you create. So imagine that you download from the extension directory a component to manage a hotel booking, right? And you wanna every time you add a new hotel or something, or new room description to your website, then that content, only exists on your website. But that needs to be translated if you have a multilingual website. And Neno can translate that content for you, or help you translate that content. So you can do it manually through the interface, or you can order professional translators to do it through our interface as well. And that, if you order, you have to pay for it. Our current price is 10 cents per word for professional translation, euro cents. We're looking to lower that relatively soon, so if you're interested in buying translation, hold off just a couple of weeks, because we're probably reducing that to, I don't want to promise anything, but it's going to be 8 or 7 cents, I think. Any other questions?
Yeah. How can I become a translator, professional translator?
How can I become a professional translator? What's the question? You have to sign up with one of the translation agencies that we use. And they have a whole certification program. You have to be a native speaker of the language, and you have to take some tests, and you get evaluated after each translation job, and if you don't keep up a good rating, you get lost. So you have to go through one of those agencies. You can find information about that on our website as well. Any other questions? You want to see the beast?
All of translations are stored in database or in language files?
Translations are stored in the database. Yes. Because most of what you are going to be translating with Neno is also database content. See if I can keep the microphone here while working with the other hand. So what I've done here is I've just taken a standard Joomla website, and I have installed the test content. So that's basically every type of content. It's meant really for testing Joomla, for people who test Joomla, the new version coming out. But it can show a lot of. Hold on. So yeah, this is the dashboard of Neno. I just installed a few languages. You can see I'm pretty far from having translated my website. But immediately you should be able to see that we give a pretty good overview of how far you are with your translations. I've installed Danish, because I speak Danish. And I've installed Spanish. I speak kind of Spanish as well. And I live in Spain, and Polish, and I have no clue. And so from here I could add more languages if I wanted to my website. And the idea is we take all the content out, so it's not part of where you would normally, if you need to translate categories, you don't go to a category interface, you use the translation interface. So you'll notice that the language that's missing here is the source language. English is not here because that's the language that I add content to normally. So we can click translate to go and translate a language. This is translating to Danish, and the way this works is, as you can see, I tried to describe that before, that we've tried to create a translation interface that is geared towards translators, and they're used to an interface like this where they can just work from one string to the next without having to go and look for them. As you have, if you're using Joomla Core, it can be really a nightmare to do. But even any other third-party component, the strings are kind of hidden, and you have to kind of search for finding which strings you want to translate. We just immediately show you strings that are not translated on your website. Get going. And that's how, if you order external translation anyway, the translation agencies work. They could just get a long file of translate these strings. We've tried. I mean, you can find specifically. You can search for strings, and it finds strings that has whatever you're searching for. Or you can say, currently we are looking at only strings that have assigned the translation method of should be manually translated, so that's typically what you look at. But we could also say, I also want to see the ones that have been assigned to should be machine translated or professionally translated. You can also go in and you can say other translation statuses. So right now we're only looking at strings that have not been translated. But I could also say, well, actually I want to see what has been translated. And apparently nothing has been translated with the word test in it, so that's why nothing changed. And you can go in, and this is where it becomes maybe a little bit more interesting. You can go in and see, I only want to see COM categories. And there are no results with the word test, so let me just... So now I should only be looking at, I'm only looking at strings from COM categories. I keep getting this warning is because I'm automatically translating or copying the content over to the right side here when I load strings. So because I'm not saving that, I get a warning that I haven't saved my changes. So this is all from COM categories. You can see here it says, okay, here's some content I found in COM categories. It has not been translated yet. And then it also loads related content. So it also, related with this article, which is in category description, it also loads the alias and the title for that category. And I should be able to translate that. So it's using the translation API. I've entered, I think we're using Yandex translation API currently, but you can use either Yandex or Google Translation API. Yandex is free. We're adding Bing as well, but Yandex is free and we actually really like it. Or you can use Google, but you have to pay for Google Translation API. And yeah, you just click save and next, and then the next you'll notice out here in the left side, it just loads the next string, and you can translate all. You can see all the different things translated. Obviously, we recommend that you actually manually translate it, and you just go through like that and translate your content. So this should speed up the process. And also it should cover everything, because we look in the database for anything, for any content, and pull it out and put it in a separate translation table. So any questions so far? Okay, let me show you some more views then. That was the translation view, undoubtedly the most important view. We'll probably come back to that. So in groups and elements is where I set up how I want things translated. Yeah, I've actually installed Hika Shell. But there's a process that runs in the background discovering content and hasn't found any content yet, because I just installed it just while I was watching or not understanding the initial introduction here in Polish. I installed it, and so it hasn't discovered the content yet, but it was to give that as an example. But anyway, here you can get an overview of how your content appears, and you can set how you want to translate it. Currently, everything is set to be translated as manual, but I could, for instance, say, actually, if I had installed a forum, for instance, I could set it so that my forum is machine translated, because it's user-generated content. There can be a lot of content happening, but really I would love it if when somebody posts something in my English forum, it's automatically translated to German. So you can set it up like that by simply going out here and saying, this part of my website I want to machine translate. And after it has been machine translated, then assign manual translation so that I can go through. Or I can just say, no, I'm happy just machine translating it. And then you can apply this to other languages, or you can do it on a language specific, say, no, it should only be machine translated into German. When it comes to Polish, I want to do it manually. So I hope that makes sense. And so now you can see this is set to be machine translated. And I could say, actually my content, I want to professionally translate. And then I can also go more specific. And so I can say in content, there's only one table that really has content, and that's that. I can on a table level say translate or don't translate. I can on a field level, this is all set up for you. You don't have to go in and do this, but you can go in and granularly change this if you need to. For instance, you might not want to translate your aliases in content. Your alias is what generates the URL. I mean, we think it's a good idea to translate because you can make it more search engine friendly in the target language, but you might not want to. And so you can simply switch it off in here. You can also do it from the actual translation interface. You can say, this field I don't want to translate, and we remove it from the whole database. But in here you can configure exactly how you want to translate everything within your Joomla site. And we automatically discover these things. When you install a new component, we can see in Hikashop there's no content, as I said, but you can see there's 43 tables in Hikashop. This goes for any third-party component you install. We automatically figure out how it works, and we automatically say, okay, here's an email log. Actually, we probably should not be translating this, so I can disable it there, and we're no longer translating email log. Hikashop field we might want to translate. Because there might be a default, or I don't know. I mean, I don't know the component very well, but you can configure everything. And for the most popular components, we have created, and we are creating. It's a big job to do, but we are creating configuration files so that they are set up perfectly. But also the developers themselves can do this to really get control over it. And what we recommend to third-party developers is to don't even think about language, because with Neno, we can take over the whole translation. If you just focus on developing a component, then we can handle all the translation. You don't need to do anything at all. In fact, we prefer if you don't even think about translation, because that makes our job a lot easier. Any questions? Okay. So external translations. We're still kind of working on making this slightly smoother experience. But here you can see in external translations, you notice before I set some content up to be machine translated and some content up to be professionally translated. And that now shows up in here. And so you can see I have 8,880 words that I want to translate to Danish, which translates to, so this is down to professional translation, so it translates to 888 euros. As I said, we lower that price a little bit. It'll probably be more like 550 or something like that. Yeah, this is where you would order it, and it's simply a send to professional translation, and you can click down here and say automatically send new and changed content to professional translation if I have available translation credit. So you have to buy translation credit from us, and then that sits in your account, and whenever you add new content, it's automatically sent for professional translation, and whenever it's translated, which is usually within an hour or two tops, depending on the size of the project, it comes back and is applied back to your website automatically. So you no longer have to really worry about it. You just install Neno and set professional translation and go. You can do the same with machine translation. Now you saw before that I can use the interface. If I'm translating myself, I can use the interface to automatically use machine translation. That's free of charge. You just have to use your own API. But if you want to translate your whole website or whole sections of your website automatically, also as new content is added using machine translation, then you have to use translation credit as well. But as you can see, it's very cheap. I think actually there's some price calculation that's wrong here, but it's not a lot. You can see the prices on our website. Hopefully they will come down, as I said, but machine translation is 0.0005 per word. So for 10 euros you can get 20,000 words. So yeah, that's a lot of words for next to nothing. But it uses then our API and it automatically translates all your content, machine translate. Now we don't really recommend that you do that for at least all your content. It's a little bit a question of whether, I mean, the quality is not going to be that good. It can help with your search engine optimization because you get, you get content in a language that people might be searching in. But it's also a little bit questionable whether or not Google considers automatically translated content, purely automatically translated content, as spam, or at least as duplicates. At least be careful with it. You can do it, we believe, for part of your website, but we don't recommend you do it for all of your website. Certainly professional translation, or translating it yourself if you can, is a lot better. One feature I did not show was if I translate something. So if I translate uncategorized, so uncategorized, and I click save. Yes, then I get, so the thing that we've done, whenever you save a translation, we look and see if that particular word string appears elsewhere. It can appear in other components, or in the same component, or many times in the database. And so we say, would you like to translate all those strings as well? So you don't have to translate the same thing many times. So here it says, we found 9 additional occurrences of the string uncategorized, not yet translated to uncategorized. Would you like to also translate these strings? And you can click don't consolidate or consolidate. And then it has now consolidated those strings, and they're all translated in one go to save you time. There's a settings page. It's not really that interesting, but I can show you. I don't know what we're doing for time. Oh, I'm 5 minutes over, so. So yeah, just you can set various things, your translator API. Yeah, you can have a look at yourself. Go ahead, it's free to download, it's open source. We're very eager for people to start using it, so if you have any questions, we're also, even though we're not really saying this publicly, we are kind of helping everybody, even though you don't have a premium account. Normally you should be using the forum, but because we're just starting up, we are really helping anybody. So feel free to contact us if you have any questions as well. All right, well, since I'm over time, I'm gonna say thank you very much to everyone.